theory. So what does theory mean? It originates from a Greek word which means spectator. And this stresses on the fact that the theories are mental models of perceived reality. You can say theory is a set of interrelated concepts, definitions, presenting a systematic of phenomenon, identifying relations to people with the purpose of explaining the phenomenon. Or we can say that the theories are based on lines of evidence which enable valid predictions and have been scientifically tested. So, for example, you can see what is theory is. It is a set of interrelated concepts. For example, here I have mentioned three examples here: Darwin's theory of evolution, atomic theory, and theory. In Darwin's theory of evolution, most of you must be knowing that Darwin explained that the human being has evolved from the monkey species, or we say that in Kannada we say Mangalinda Manava, right? So this Darwin theory is not just told just like that, but it was interrelated. Like how the monkey species walk, they move, they go around. So relating to those concepts, Darwin gave us. There are other examples. What I mentioned here is the atomic theory and the cell theory. So whenever a scientist had to explain a theory, they had to relate the different concepts and definitions, and they were presenting it in a form such a way that the whole theory was explained in detail with sufficient data so that people would actually believe, along with the support of some scientific experiments. Okay, so we have some characteristics here. There are basically 5 characteristics of theories. The first one is testable. The theories can be supported through series of scientific research projects or experiments. So we are able to test these theories. So it is not that somebody gives a theory, we can just agree to that theory. We can also challenge those theories with the amount of data that is given by the scientist. So here we can test whether the theory is right or wrong. Second characteristic is it is replicable. It must be able to be repeated by others. So this means that the one who is presenting the theory has to give sufficient amount of information or data in such a way that others can test the theory, and they also should get the similar results. They should not get different results. And if they get the different results, the theory can be rejected. So these theories have to be stable. Third characteristic of theory is it has to be stable. It has to be stable means that when others test the theory, they should get the same result. They should not get different results. That means the theory is valid as long as there is no evidence to say it is wrong. Okay, so it has to be stable, sufficient amount of information, sufficient amount of proof that the theory is correct. Next characteristic is the theories has to be simple. It has to be understood by each and every one who is reading those theories. And the fifth characteristic is it should be consistent. Means it has to agree with other theories. For example, atomic theory. When atomic theory was being put up by the scientists, there were other theories also which had to be related with this atomic theory to give the proof that this is what is the model of an atom. Okay, this is about theory. So I think most of us know what is, right? So most of us know what we mean by rules. We all follow rules in our daily life, right? A definition statement that establishes or standard and serves as a norm for guiding or mandating action or conduct. So these rules we are making to see that there is a particular way of conduct, or there is a particular action being taken. Now these rules can be categorized into four types of categories. The first one is folklore. Folklore means it is unpublished rules that are conveyed by behavior or are implicitly understood. These category, they will not be published. For example, how should I eat my food? Okay, I should not split my food. How I have to with my hands or with the spoon, fork and spoon, etc. So these are unpublished rules which we learn by looking at others, by the behavior of others. Okay, and they're understood in a simple manner. Second is the guidelines. These are commonly published and they're recommended practices that allow some discretion with their interpretation and use. These guidelines we can observe in our daily life. For example, when we come to the college, we have to be on time to the college. Why we have to be on time? How to sit in the class? Whether there should not be in the college campus. So many guidelines will be there in the college campus. So all those things are published and they are asked to be, they are recommended to be practiced. You can your ID cards, wearing your uniform. These are all recommended practices. The third category is mandates. These are compulsory. They cannot be ignored. And the violation of these mandates will be punished. For example, now we are going through this COVID-19 crisis, and if we go out of the house without the masks, then we are liable to punishment. There is a mandate. That is a mandate. The helmet is a mandate. So all these are published commands which cannot be ignored and which a violation of is punished. The fourth one is policies. These are published rules which predict the behavior and whose violation may be permitted or tolerated under certain conditions. So these policies we see in when we are running a government. So the government formulates some policies which we can follow, and which the government itself, whether it can be tolerated or not, the government decides it. So these are about the rules. One example what I've taken, because we are talking this with respect to the science background, I've taken this rule. The science background students will be knowing this particular rule as a famous rule, whereas arts and commerce background students may not be knowing this. This is called as the Fleming's left hand rule. So in this Fleming's left hand rule, we are determining the direction of force, magnetic field and current using our left hand. So if you see in the diagram, you can see that the thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger, we are keeping it in perpendicular direction. So all of them are at 90 degrees to each other. So using this, we can find the direction of force, magnetic field and current. This is in the science part where we have to solve some problems or etc. So this is a mandatory rule for us to find the direction of force, magnetic field and current. The next topic, laws. So it is almost similar to rules, but these laws have some difference here. The definition is a little bit different here. So laws are statements of facts which is meant to explain in concise terms a action or set of actions. So usually they can be accepted to be true and universal, or they can sometimes be expressed in terms of mathematical equation. Again, why I'm taking this mathematical equation is because we are going to, we are talking in terms of science background. So when we're talking about the laws in science background, we are expressing these laws in terms of a mathematical equation. So in general, law is observed phenomenon. It is the description of an observed phenomenon. It doesn't explain why the phenomenon exists or what causes it. Now there is, please see this diagram. You will see the difference between theory and law. Almost both of them are same. Theory is based on hypothesis. It is used to make predictions. It can be revised. Similarly, law also is based on hypothesis. Can be used to make predictions. Can be revised. Whereas the difference between the theory and law, the difference between theory and law is that the theory explains why the natural phenomenon occurs, whereas the law just summarizes a set of observations about the natural phenomenon. Now, giving an example for this law, I can give the example of law of gravitation. Most of you know what is gravitation. Gravitation is force of attraction between two bodies. This law of gravitation in science is stated that the gravitational force is related to the masses and inversely related to the distance. So that means if two bodies are very close to each other, they have strong attractional forces, and when they are far away from each other, they have less attractional forces. Okay, so now this is not explaining what gravity is. This is not explaining what gravity is, but it is explaining how gravity is working, and it is also not explaining what causes the gravity. So law.
Hello, Shalom. Shalom.
What? Yes.
Hello. Shalom.
Yes.
Can you please mute everyone else because there's a lot of disturbance.
Ma'am. Ma'am. Ma'am, please. Ma'am, mute all, ma'am. I'll unmute myself.
It is okay.
Mute yourselves, please.
Already I muted all the students, but I don't know who is.
Tarannum Shakil Khan, can you please mute Alfia? Tarannum Shakil Khan, can you please mute yourself?
काफी आवाज कम कर ताकि टीवी की अरे उधर
तरन्नुम से अनम्यूट नहीं हो रहा है।
Continue. Ma'am, I'll continue. Shall I continue?
Yes, yes, continue.
Okay. So we were talking about the law of gravitation. So here, the law of gravitation, I was saying that the mathematical equation of law of gravitation states that the force is related directly to masses and directly to the distance between the two masses. Suppose two masses are too close to each other, they have a greater force of attraction, whereas when they move away, they have less force of attraction. So this law is not telling us how the law or what is gravity, but it explains how the gravity works. It even doesn't explain what causes it, but it is explaining how the gravitational force works. So therefore, the law is not explaining the phenomenon. Okay, it is just summarizing the observations, right? So we can also take the examples of laws of motion. I know most may not be knowing all motion, but there is one law of motion which all of us know, that is every action has a equal and opposite reaction. So whether it be in our daily life or anywhere else, law of action has always got a equal and opposite reaction. Now, we don't know why it happens like that or what causes it, but we know that this happens. So this is because of some observation, right? So this is about the laws. Next, coming to concepts. Now, concept, I can say it is the label of a set of things that have something in common. So there is something which is common and try to describe common thing with a set of things. Now, actually, the characteristics of concept here, it says it is a individual mental image of thing formed by generalization of particular events. It is formed by number of related experience of events. It is reduction of events to be recognizable, configuration and generalization. It is an idea of logical species. It is a mental or theoretical Yes. So here you can see a concept map. This is called as a concept map. So we basically this concept is nothing but we are imagining, we are just putting out the form of a mental image. So here, if you see this concept map, we have at the top the main thing about which we have to discuss, the cows. So what do the cows do? They provide leather, they produce milk. And why is milk important? It is important to cats, humans, and cows. And leather is used for making purses, couches, and coats. So this is how I can explain a common thing, that is cows, with a label of set of things. So this we will be learning in future, I think. So how to make this concept map and all. Then one more concept example I is about the cycle. So again, this is a mental image which we are representing in the form so that we can understand the set of things. So what happens to water cycle? So first, the water is rising due to evaporation. It is getting condensed in the form of clouds, and again due to precipitation, it is falling back to the ground. So here there is a cycle of water moving from to the top. So this is a mental image which I am representing so that I will be able to explain the cycle in a better way. Next topic is phenomenon. Phenomenon is a fact or situation that happens especially one whose cause or explanation is in question. So this word phenomenon is originated from the phenomenon, things which are appearing to be viewed or to show. That means we are seeing these phenomena, able to view these phenomena, and it is a fact, but their explanation is in question. I know that this thing is happening in nature, but I don't know how to explain this. For example, can you see this picture? We have a picture of a soap bubble. I'm sure most of us love to blow these bubbles, right? So if we see such a colorful soap we have, so all of us know that when we blow the soap bubbles in the air, due to the light, there is some color here. But what is the explanation of this color? That is a phenomenon. This light or this color is coming because of a phenomenon called as interference. So this is a fact which we are observing, which is existing, which is happening, but its explanation is in question. So we have to explain this particular phenomenon and it comes in the theoretical part. One more example I would like to give here. If you can see this image, this is usually observed in the summer season. When we are going on a ride, we see that the other road having some water on the surface of the road. So we don't know whether there is water or not, but we able to view it that there is some water on the road. But as we go closer to it, we see that the road has no water on it. This is an optical illusion, means something which we see it does not exist. And this is also a phenomenon called as refraction. This is happening because of refraction. And this optical illusion, we call it as mirage. So this is also something called as phenomenon. So it is observed, it is existing, it is happening, but the explanation is a question. The other examples can be gravity, light, sound. These two are examples of the optical phenomenon. Next topic is events. Next topic is events. Event is something that happens or is regarded as happening, an occurrence, and it is especially one of some importance. So events, every stream has different definition of events, but the event means something which is happening, something that is happening, or something that happens, that may happen, something that may occur. Now I can give you an example. This is an example of people playing football on a ice ground. Okay, so how long can these people play football there? Only till the right. So this was done to give an explanation of climate change. We can live or we can do what we want till the ice keeps on melting. So this is an example for climate change. Things happening, is going on, and it is very important for us to understand. And this is an example of two black holes. Two black holes, the collision of which is gravitational waves. Again, this is happening in space, which we are unaware of, and these gravitational waves are going to harm us in many ways. So this is happening, and they are of importance to us. So these are some scientific events which are happening or regarded as an occurrence. They both are equally important. Next is information. Information is facts provided or learned about something or someone. So whenever we have to know somebody, we have to collect information about them. So when we collect information, suppose I have to introduce myself, I have to introduce myself with my name, my class, my etc. So I am providing my information to you, or you are learning something about me through the facts provided by me, right? So this good information should be easy understood, it should be relevant, it should be accurate, it should be cost effective, it should be complete, and it should be timely. So good information is ready for its purpose. It is sufficiently accurate for its purpose, complete enough problem, reliable, targeted to the right person. It has to be communicated in time for its purpose. It contains right level of detail and is communicated by appropriate channel. That is one that is understandable to the user. Suppose I give some information because of which the other person is misguided, then it is not a characteristic of a good information. The person has to understood. If I ask them to turn right, but he turns left, he has not understood that he has to turn right and he turns left, then it's wrong. Is wrong. Or the way I have provided the fact, for example, we are providing somebody the information of a route, how to reach a particular place. I have to give appropriate facts. I have to provide proper facts so that the person reaches the place in the right manner. That person can easily understand the route. That person can reach the reach the destination in the right time, and he is not getting confused, or he is not going to a different place, or he is not getting wrong because of which there is inconvenience. It has to be great, it has to be relevant, it has to be easily understood, it has to be timely, and it has to be complete. Right? This is the characteristic of useful information. Next is hypothesis. Hypothesis is an explanation of one or more phenomena in nature that can be tested by observations, experiments, or both. It is a suggested solution to problems. A hypothesis must be falsifiable, which means it can be proven to be incorrect. Now, hypothesis, I can say, it is similar to an assumption, but there is a difference between hypothesis and assumption. Assumption I'm coming in the next part, but hypothesis should have an explanation of one or more phenomenon in nature which can be tested. Means if I say something, I can test it. I can test whether it is right or wrong. I can just say anything. So that is a hypothesis. Now to give an example for this, suppose you're toasting a bread, right? You plug your toaster to a outlet and the bread does not toast. So what you do, you just think as to why the bread is not getting toasted. So what you do, you just imagine maybe the outlet is broken, or you feel that this outlet is not good, so I will switch the toaster to another outlet. Or if you don't want to imagine the toaster, you can imagine your mobiles. Suppose you plug in your mobile charger to a outlet and the mobile doesn't charge. What you do, you try to plug into a different outlet. Why do you plug into a different outlet? Because you are imagining that maybe there's some problem in the outlet, in the first outlet, so the second outlet may work properly. So that is your hypothesis. That is, you are explaining as to why this is happening. And then what you do, if the bread toasts or if your mobile starts charging, you think that your hypothesis is supported. That is, the first outlet was not working, so you have switched to your second outlet. And if your bread doesn't toast, or if your mobile is still not charging, what is wrong there? Your hypothesis is wrong. So you have to again start experimenting. So this hypothesis can be false also. It can be proven to be incorrect. It is not necessary that it has to be always proven to be right. If it had to be proved to be right, it would have become a theory or a law or a rule. Assumption. As I told you, hypothesis and assumption are almost similar, but assumption is an idea which is formed without evidence. There is no evidence for the assumption. Now, for example, if a ball falls to the ground, science assumes that there must be a natural explanation for why the ball moves down. Right now, the scientists are saying that the ball is moving down because of gravity. But earlier, it was not like that. People didn't think about this. They didn't know that gravity is pulling this ball. They were assuming so many things. Now also, we can't see gravity. We are just assuming that the gravity is pulling it down. It's again an assumption. Or for children with other background, in assumption we can take, for example, people have a lot of superstitious beliefs. So suppose a person is going out and a cat crosses the road. So he assumes that my work is not going to happen. So, and if the work cat, but is there work, right? So that is the assumption. So you are assuming that the cat is spoiled for work, but it's not true. So this is an idea which formed without any no evidence. Whereas hypothesis, it has evidence. That is the difference between hypothesis and assumption. Facts. Fact is something that is known to have happened or it is existing, especially something for which proof exists or about which there is information. So there is a proof here. So we are going to say that this fact is completely true. Okay. But the truth in science, please remember, the truth is in science is never final. People keep on experimenting. People keep on proving each and every fact is wrong and try to discard each and every fact one or the other. For example, when we were studying in school, we had a fact that Pluto is the 9th planet. After a few years, we got to know that this fact was also false. Pluto is not the 9th planet, right? So science is not final. The truth in science can always be discarded. So fact is something where I can say that there is, it is completely true. We have a proof for each and everything. Okay. Coming to the next, principles. The definition, principle is a general scientific theorem or law that has numerous special applications across a wide field. So, principle means it has some application. So, for example, we study about energy. Law of conservation of energy says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So, I cannot create energy nor can I destroy energy, but I can transfer it from one form to another. Now, if you see this diagram here, it is the diagram of a roller coaster. I hope all of you know what is a roller coaster. Okay. So, in the roller coaster, we are going up and then down. And if you see here, we have a small circle also. Now, when we are moving in a roller coaster, it's starting from a high point and then it is going down. So, at this point, we say that there is some energy called as potential energy, and this potential energy is converted to kinetic energy, means the energy because of which a body moves. Okay. So, this is converting into kinetic energy, and again here it is getting its potential energy back again. Now when it goes through this circle, we may say that because of gravitational attraction it has to fall down, but it does not fall down. What it does, it just goes round and comes back down, because here apart from gravitational force we have a centripetal force, something called as centripetal force, which is not allowing you to fall down. It is allowing you to just go through the circle. So here these energies are just getting converted. These are the principles which I am applying in my daily life. The law of conservation of energy, I am applying this in my daily life. principle is generally a law also. Okay. Now there are some Next is postulates. Postulates means they suggest or assume the existence of something as a basis of reasoning, discussion, or belief. It is an assumption that is assumed to be true without any proof. Again, it is an assumption, but there is no proof. But we can suggest that it is a fact, or we can suggest that it is a truth